I learned to eat plants through Plant Powered Metro New York 21-day Jumpstart. And I fell in love so much with the program, with the community, with the organization, and with the increase in overall health that I feel when I stick to plants, that I wanted to continue my journey, have the support of the community, and help educate others about the same. The most noticeable change in my health and my body that was obvious and visible was that I lost 30 pounds when I switched to eating plant-based, even though, in all honesty, I probably eat more food now than I used to eat. So the fact that I love eating and I get to keep eating and I get to really eat as much as I want, as long as I stick to healthy foods that make me feel good, is very exciting for me. And it has also helped me sleep better, helped my energy level, and honestly kept my skin clear. I happen to be a dermatologist, and I get so many compliments on the health of my skin. They say, "Oh, but you're a dermatologist." And I always feel like I have to say, but actually, I don't do any of the dermatology stuff. It's probably how I eat. And that's really fun for me to kind of catch them in a little inside joke for myself. If you're just starting out eating whole food plant-based, I would say have fun with it, go easy on yourself, do what you can, and think of it as adding food rather than taking away. Don't think of yourself as not being able to eat certain things or having to eat less. Think of all of the helpful whole food plants that you want to add in. And then you'll realize that you're actually full, you're satisfied, and you don't really need to eat the other stuff because you feel great about what you just ate and you don't feel deprived. Join the Jumpstart. You won't regret it. Even if you end up being transitional afterwards and still needing to practice, you'll learn so much, you'll have fun, you'll build your own community.
Many voices, one mission, health for all. Plant Powered Metro New York's 4th annual celebration is here. This is Plantathon. My name is Leanna Levine-Reisner, joining you live from New York City. So glad to be here on the final day of our Plantathon celebration. Over these past 8 days, we have celebrated the diverse and ever-expanding movement for health through plant-powered nutrition, not only in our Metro New York communities, but also across the country and the globe. Together, we are bringing about a healthier and more sustainable future by putting wholesome plants on our plates. And for those who may not know us, Plant Powered Metro empowers diverse residents and communities to achieve vibrant health and overcome chronic disease through whole food plant-based nutrition. Eating plants can prevent, treat, and even reverse a wide array of health conditions and concerns. Please share about yourself in the comments so we can learn who's here and where you're joining us from. Hey, Dan.
Leanna, did you happen to see Chef Carol last night on the Plantathon and the cookies that she made?
Oh my gosh. She's
I got a
amazing.
picture. Well, let me just show it real quickly. It's going to be in the middle of the screen. Incredible, all plant-based, all amazing. She was just phenomenal last night. So I'm so thrilled to be back here. This is indeed day 8 of the Plantathon, offered in the spirit of Giving Tuesday, which was last week. Plant Powered Metro New York has made a commitment to give back to you through Plantathon, while asking you for your financial support of our mission today and throughout the giving season. We invite you to donate through the QR code on the link on your screen or what's in the comments. Every donation you make through the end of December will be matched by a generous anonymous donor. And anyone who donated or registered for Plantathon up through yesterday, with or without a donation, has been entered to win one of the many great Plantathon prizes. We also have our rules for giveaway, but we're ending it tonight, unfortunately. But at the end of tonight's live stream, a couple of things. We have 3 final prizes to give away. One is a Pantry Perfect bundle sponsored by Plant Powered Metro, tote bag with mugs and bonza boxes and large serving utensils and burlap and barrel peppermill and forks. Oh my gosh, so much that's in there. We have a 6-pack of spices in the Fundamentals collection from Burlap and Barrel single origin spices, and, if you can believe it, a Vitamix high-speed blender. And before we do welcome today's guests, a huge thank you once again to both California Balsamic and Farm to People for sponsoring the Plantathon. We so appreciate everything that they've done.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. This has been real. I'm so excited to wrap up this amazing week with awesome guests. Tonight, we are joined by Keisha and Dr. David Bowman out of Maryland. Let's get to know them both. Keisha Bowman is a public health professional and a nationally board certified health coach with a background in engineering and corporate leadership. She and her husband created Lifestyle Med Revolution, where she empowers individuals, especially women and underserved communities, to embrace plant-based nutrition, movement, spirituality, and holistic wellness, using spirituality as a source of strength to deal with lifestyle changes. And Dr. David Bowman is a physician with board certification in both pediatrics and lifestyle medicine, serving as Assistant Dean of Student Health and Wellness at Howard University College of Medicine. In addition to co-founding Lifestyle Med Revolution with Keisha, he co-chairs the American College of Lifestyle Medicine's HEAL initiative, advancing health equity through lifestyle change. And we're going to share in the comments right now some links so you can follow the Bowmans there, and we'll put that in the comments. And as we go along, if you have questions for our guests, please feel free to share those as well, and we'll get to them later on in the program. So great to have you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
Wonderful to be here.
Thank you. We would love to help other people know your story. So tell us what brought you into the consciousness of a plant-powered eater. What was life like before, and how has your health and well-being changed?
I'll start. I was, living the regular life. I had stopped eating beef and pork in college, but I was still eating a lot of chicken, salt, seafood, and dairy, white breads, etc. A lot of candy. And I had constipation that was really bad, such that I was going to the bathroom every 4 or 5 days, struggling to get anything out. It was horrible. And it got so bad that my hemorrhoids and anal fissures got so bad, I ended up having an anal fistula, which is a tear in your anus that goes all the way up into your rectum. Oh. So I was literally leaking anal fluid. And as embarrassing as that was, I was walking around with toilet paper and, stuck in between my butt cheeks so that I would not be leaking. And it was embarrassing. I was 35 and I had surgery, but, every doctor I'd seen before then, like the surgeons as well as the GI doctors, were all like, just take more, fiber supplements, take more stool softeners. Nobody ever said, let's look at your diet. Nobody ever said that. And so, I missed flights. I was on an interview. I missed a flight because of my constipation. In addition, my asthma was bad. My allergies were horrible. I always had to look at the allergy level for the day to determine if I needed to take my allergy medication or not. And so that was my life. But, I didn't have anything life-threatening. So it was just, irritating. And then I was doing my past life. I was doing global health and HIV work, and when I did that, everything was great. I loved it, and essentially we eradicated Pete's HIV by doing great work there. And so my job was like, well, we can't renew your contract because we don't have any more kids with HIV, because the kids who were born with it, these kids weren't being born with it anymore, and because they weren't being born with it anymore, and the kids who had it were going to adult care, our numbers were shrinking, which is great for public health, but not good for job security. And then I ended up doing a Daniel fast to pray about my job, thinking maybe God's going to say, thou shalt do sports medicine, or something like that. And so I did a Daniel fast, and the Daniel fast is really from the prophet Daniel in the Bible. He did 3 weeks of a no meats, no choice food diet, which essentially turns out to be a whole food plant-based diet in real terms in today's lingo. And in 10 days, my constipation was gone. My 10-year battle of constipation was gone in 10 days. And I was like, what just happened to me? Like this is amazing. And so that was how I got started. That's my start into this process. And since that time, I've stayed plant-based.
That's amazing. And first of all, gosh, for anybody who's gone through what you've gone through, David, that's like, I can't even imagine just the disruption in life, but to know that you found a way forward is great. And you were part of a huge public health success in getting rid of pediatric HIV. So let's celebrate that too.
Yay. And so, yeah, I had to find something else to do. And they're, I
Yeah.
felt like God was saying, heal yourself, physician, heal thyself, and then go heal others. And so that's kind of how I found my life's purpose, and then eventually my wife purpose.
Yes. So Keisha, tell us your path in.
Yeah, it started so many years ago. I remember being probably in my 30s or so when I started noticing a difference. I started noticing a difference in the health, and I would say body structure of Black women versus our white counterparts. And I was like, that's strange. Why is that? We're all human, and what's happening there. And so when I started looking into it, I began to see that there were some differences when it came to our health. And I really wanted to do something about it. So I didn't really know where to start. I got involved in some, health related businesses. And so those weren't quite satisfying. I was in corporate America at that time, and I wasn't really satisfied there either. So at some point, came across health coaching, and got started in that. And that was probably about 12 or 13 years ago now. And so I was so excited. I found like a newfound love. And that's where my journey began. And I, started to dibble and dabble, with health education. I was a Zumba instructor at some point. And I, just really loved health and wellness. And and throughout this time, my own, even though I knew all of this information, right? My own body started to struggle a little bit with certain health conditions. I remember going to the gynecologist, and it's not really their duty necessarily to tell us about our health and well-being and things of that nature, other than what we're there for. But I remember going, and my blood pressure, the systolic number was 130. I don't know what the bottom number was, but I remember that was a little high. Didn't really know at the time that that was the beginning to what could have been, a really bad, progression to hypertension. And so, and I didn't know that until after the fact. And so, again, I was dibbling and dabbling. Should I go plant-based? Should I go raw? Should I go do all these other things? And when I reconnected with David in 2020, it was, and he was already established. He was already doing his thing. I cut off, everything else. I cut off meat. I cut off cheese. I cut off all of that stuff. And I finally settled into where I am today. And that is 100% plant forward, doing the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, and just, really looking forward and to, being the type of health coach that I want to be for other people.
Yeah, that's really tremendous. And just, to step in and be a model now for others, which is really what you're doing through Lifestyle Med Revolution. And I want to put really front and center for our viewers the spiritual dimension of what you do, which is so, so critical. So can you share, how does your faith shape the way that you approach health promotion? And, lay it on the table for us, because whatever faith our viewers are, there's this dimension that we all have to acknowledge of being in a world that, is bigger than us, and we all make sense of it in our own ways. But you have a way that you've brought it forward that's really beautiful.
Yeah. So I'll start. So the Daniel fast is a spiritual fast. And so, maybe if I would have had a doctor talk to me about plant-based living, just on a medical level, maybe I would have gone that route. But because I did a spiritual fast, really like 5 days into the fast, I was screaming. I was like, I couldn't take it. It's too hard. I was about to quit because I didn't have any creativity. I was like, I'm bored. And I got this epiphany. No, actually, the first thing I asked was, is this a spiritual fast or a lifestyle change? And I'm like, okay, it's a spiritual fast. Let me pray about this. And when I went to go pray about it, it hit me. I used to see people literally who died of malnutrition. Well, I didn't see them. I'd see my patient with HIV, they had all kinds of food things for them, but the kids who were just starving, there was nothing there for them. And so I was like, you know what? Forgive me, Lord, for being ungrateful. Like, thank you, Lord, I've not missed a meal in college, med school, but I didn't really miss any meals. So thank you, Lord, that I have food to eat. Let me be grateful and let me just go through this fast. And then on day 10, my life changed in terms of the constipation going away. And I was like, wait a minute, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, but my lifestyle was promoting disease. And I was like, oh, wow, I never really got that. And so now, because the Daniel fast is what really got me to get going, that's what we use as the crux of our business, is applying the spiritual principles of the Daniel fast, the food parts of it, but also just saying to ourselves, in my flesh wants to go to Dollar Tree, and when I go to Dollar Tree, my flesh wants to go down to the candy aisle and get tons of candy. That's what my flesh wants. But my faith says, so I might have to pray before I go into Dollar Tree, pray before I go to CVS for other issues to say, do not get that candy, right? So that's kind of how, on an individual level, it helps me. And then there's other, scriptures that we use on a regular basis that really help me at least, to go forward. So one of them is to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's in Romans 12:2. And so it's not as if you can just transform a plate and that'd be sufficient enough. A lot of people make changes, but they haven't changed their mind. And so one of the scriptures I use often is like, if I want to have health transformation, I got to be transformed by the renewing of my mind towards what food is, what exercise is, sleep, stress management, etc. I have to do that. I think that's what's important.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And Keisha, do you bring the same kind of orientation, or what's your angle to this?
It's everything. We start our morning with a prayer call that anyone is welcome to join. We start our day and we end it with prayer with our daughter. And so my stepdaughter, David's daughter, and it's everything. It's when we it's our foundation. It is everything that is a part of who we are as people, and also inside of our business too. And we welcome everyone. Your spirituality, your faith, it's helped, our business has helped bring people back to their own faith. And it's just everything that we do. It's in everything that we eat, how we move, how we have our being, what we do, what our careers. It is inside of our family. And so it is the absolute foundation for everything that we do.
That's great.
And it also enables us to say, like, I can do this. There's a scripture that says I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. So if I can say I can pass up this candy, I can pass up that donut, I can do it because I have the spiritual strength to do it.
Yes, exactly. And recognize, what you're saying also is in having these rituals of engagement too, it's a practice of gratitude. It's a practice of connection between oneself and the divine, between oneself and others. It's such a beautiful thing that you're building through the community that you have as well. Can you share more with our audience members about, what do we know about how spiritual connection helps people with lifestyle change, whether starting the process, furthering the process, or sustaining it in the long term?
So one thing that I think about is when I recognize that I am a temple, like in the Christian faith, we talk about our body's a temple. And so it's like, well, gosh, if I have a temple, then I wouldn't throw trash in the temple. I discarded it properly, right? If I go to my place of worship, I try to keep it as clean as possible. And similarly, I want to keep my own body as clean as possible. And so that's one of the things that drives that kind of concept. In addition, just saying, there's another scripture we talked about is the fruits of the Spirit, where we have self-control as one of those fruits of the Spirit. And so self-control. So when I say, oh, I can't control myself around this, I can't help myself. Well, you can. You may not want to, and that's okay, but you can. And I think that's important for us to delineate. And also one thing we also don't try to do is pass judgment. Is if you're on the fast and you mess up, you know what? No big deal. Just say, hey, listen, figure out what happened. Oh, I wasn't thinking, or I went out and I was hungry and the temptation was too great. And so I think those kind of things are important in terms of self-control and in terms of having that grounding.
Yeah, and there's scripture around meditation and how we can enable meditation, just even around the Word of God, but also bringing that to the practice of what we put in our mouths. The Word of God says that life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those that eat of it eat the fruit thereof. And we can mimic that to our own lives and say, okay, well, what is important to us? What are we putting in our mouths? Is it life or death to us? And we can take those principles in the Word of God and apply it to our health. And we do that you can, and that's the wonderful thing about using spirituality when it comes to our health. We can, everything, I believe everything's in the Bible, right? So we can bring those practices from the Bible back to what we do and apply it to our lives.
That's great. Yes. And I know being Jewish and grounded in text as well, like when we have these foundational stories and practices and principles and teachings, they really mean so much to civilization as we know it, as we live it. And so to connect that into our lifestyle can be so powerful. So what would you say, I know for Plantathon, we often have listeners who are already very deeply interested in this lifestyle, if not living it themselves. But what would you say to someone who feels maybe disconnected in some way, whether from their physical body, from their sense of purpose, or from, relationships with other people in their communities? What would you say to someone like that to help guide them back into alignment when it comes to, health and purpose?
I'd love to take that one. I would say think bigger. I think a lot of times we don't feel connected because there may be something that may be missing. We're not connected because we're not thinking bigger. We're not thinking wider. We're not thinking, what else is out there and available for me? How can I be of support to our community, to the community? How can I be of support to my family? How can I be of service really to others around me? Think bigger, think larger, think about what you want to contribute to the world and to the community. And once you do that, you can actually become connected, and you can actually see the fruits of your labor, and really feel good about who you are and the talent that you bring to the world. I love that question so much, because I just thought, if we take on being bigger and brighter in the world, we can stay so connected and see how others are being and how we are being in the world to others as well.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Also on that note, a lot of people in our community, as much as I want to say, oh, it's because we bring lifestyle medicine and bring knowledge to them. They're like, no, we love the community. We love being in community. We love the prayer calls and the prayer calls. Like back in the old days, we used to have testimony service at church, right? So our first half hour basically is let's share about what's good. Let's share what's good. And we get to know each other. People are like, hey, I haven't heard from such and such in a while. So, have you guys heard from this person? And so we'll, call the person and say, hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. Thanks for checking in on me, blah, 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 blah. So it's the community that really makes a big difference. So sometimes we get isolated. Connectedness is one of the the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, and that can be both connectedness up, vertically, but it also is connectedness horizontally. And so it's important that we reach out to other people and support one another.
That's great. I'm wondering if you have a story, a nugget of success from your community that you've built through Lifestyle Med Revolution that you could share with our viewers.
Yeah.
I can share one, maybe share one.
Okay.
So 59-year-old woman has inflammatory bowel disease, and she feels like she needs to lose 70 pounds in order to feel better. She says when we hear about, she heard about the Daniel fast, and she was like, wait a minute, do beans and broccoli. I can't do beans and broccoli because, I got, Crohn's disease. I can't do that. There's no way, because I was told that, and I've experienced that when I am having a flare, that I shouldn't do this. And so what I told her, and she said, I need to lose 70 pounds, and I feel better once I lose 70 pounds. I told her, I said, you have an inflammatory bowel disease. So if you stop eating foods that are inflammatory, you don't have bowel disease. And so she was like, really? Are you serious? Give it a shot. And within 3 days, not 3 weeks, 3 days, she was dancing because she felt so much better. And over time, she lost, 60 pounds. This is not on any medication. She lost 60 pounds and felt amazing just by changing up her lifestyle, reconnecting, like Keisha said, to spirituality that she hadn't tapped into for a while. And so that's one. We have many. That's one of the first one comes to my mind.
Yeah, I have 2 in my mind. I'll keep it really brief and really, really short. We had someone recently, I'll talk about the recent one. She was on our fast, and she came in with, high blood pressure. And so that was, other than that, she was fine. She was very active, in her community and her church. And one of the things that we say in the beginning is, if you're on, blood pressure medication, make sure your doctor knows. And then also, just make sure you're monitoring your symptoms, because, with going plant-based, it's possible that, you may dip too low if you're still on medication. And so, it probably about 2.5 to 3 weeks in, she said, hey, I started feeling a little weak, a little faint. And she knew what to do. And I said, did you call your doctor? No, I just took a little salt. Now, she was still on her blood medication, but she was also monitoring her blood pressure. And so it was such a great testament to the fact that, there was something that we to let them know, getting, hey, if you're just make sure you're monitoring your symptoms, and make sure you're monitoring yourself to make sure that you don't, kind of bottom out or nothing, fall faint. And so it was a great testament to see the power of food as medicine. And she has since, I'm not sure if she got completely off her medication. She's still on her calls. We haven't necessarily done that update, but she did experience the power of food as medicine in just 2.5 to 3 weeks. She eventually did call her doctor, just let her know what was going on. And so there's more update to that. And so that was just a quick story. We've got many more, and it's just been an awesome ride with our clients.
It's great. It's so like fundamentally spiritual also to bear witness to these kinds of healing experiences, which I have found through my work as well, is just humbling in so many ways, right? Will you share with our audience, is there, let's say, like a simple daily practice that you can suggest to help people who are interested in strengthening both their physical health and their spiritual well-being? Obviously, your daily morning prayers are a piece of that, but maybe there's something more to say about it.
I can take that on. I was talking to someone recently, and she was saying how she wanted to start to exercise, and she wanted to start walking. But she had also shared that what she loves doing is doing line dancing. And so she did that religiously. She only did it once a week, but she did it religiously. But she was trying to incorporate something else into her lifestyle. And it was difficult for her. So I said to her, why not just up what you love? Do what you love to do, and then you won't even have to think about it. And so I say to everyone, do what you love. Start moving. Do something, even if it's 5 minutes. That's one of the things that we do as health coaches. We share just, do something in 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes to do some lunges, or 5 minutes to do some sit in your chair and do some knee lifts. Just take 5 minutes a day. And even if that doesn't work, find something that you absolutely love to do and do even more of that, and build a practice and build an example for yourself that you can do anything.
Awesome.
And I would say be mindful, just really be mindful. So one of the things that we do, Keisha is very good at, is a label reading course that we do as part of our program. And when people actually look at what they're putting in their mouth, they're like, oh my gosh, I recognize that there's sugar in this, and then there's honey in that, or there's egg in this, and there's milk in this. And so really being mindful of, like, let me just pause and before I either buy this thing or before I put it in my mouth, like, should this really be in my body right now? And just really just being mindful of what we're doing. Oftentimes we just go on autopilot and we don't think about what we're doing. We just kind of I've always done it, so I keep doing it. Instead of saying, pause, let me wait, let me think about this, let me evaluate it, look at the back of the package. Like, oh, wow, it says a lot of added sugar. This has a lot of chemicals I can't even name. And so I think that's one tip as well, just being really mindful of what we're putting in our temple.
Beautiful. Yeah. How can shared faith or shared values help families and communities together? That's something we work on a lot at Planned Parenthood Metro New York. And I just wonder, like, threading people together is also an art, but it's such an essential practice to help make this happen. So tell us more about a little bit of the how of your work.
Like I had shared earlier, we have had so many people from all around the world who have joined us, and we have not said no. We have had people who were Jewish that have come and done our 21-day Daniel fast. We have had people who are from other faiths who have come and done our fast. We've had people who didn't have a faith at all actually come and do our fast. And so, we are an open book, and we allow people to be themselves and bring your faith. Now, some people don't pray in the morning, obviously, with us, but we don't want to limit the reach that we do have. And because, and regardless of where we come from and what our background is, we believe that we're all God's children. And so there is no limit to anybody that comes through our program, because it wouldn't be right to do so. I love our community. We have just so many diverse people, just everywhere, from everybody. It's amazing.
That's great. Yeah. I remember when I first made my transition to plant-based nutrition, I made this new connection with the woman who was the administrator at my daughter's preschool, because she told me she was just doing a Daniel fast. She, her health was rebounding too. And it was so exciting to have this thing that we shared, other than, of course, being at school together, but to know that we each wanted health and we each were, choosing food. And I think the shared humanity of that experience is just so powerful. And you bring that into your work every day. So thank you. Thank you. We're going to wrap up our time with our closing question that we're asking all of our Plantathon guests, which is this: where do you see great opportunity in our movement for people to make an impact?
Would you like to say?
Sure. So I think, first of all, when we think about health, we usually think from a disease model and not from a health model. We think about it from, what I'm lacking, what I need more of, or what have you. And it's just the mindset. To me, if you think differently, like you cannot, there's a proverb parable that says you can't put new wine into old wineskins, right? We have to have a different, you can't just do different and hope for better outcomes that are lasting. We have to think differently, and we have to really evaluate. There's a proverb that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And so we have to have a vision for, where do I see myself, where do I see this movement, where do I see myself as an individual, where do I see our business, or where do you see your business? Where do I see this 5 years from now, 5 months from now? And what kind of person do I need to be to make that happen? What do I need to add? What do I need to subtract? Who do I need to connect myself with to make those things happen? So it's really having a vision and of whatever future you want to create, and saying, all right, let me be that person. Like, let me be the person who is healthy and off meds and down on the floor playing with my kids or grandkids. That's who I am. And if I am that, then it's easy to say, well, gosh, if that's who I am 5 years from now, or a year from now, or 6 months from now, that's who I am, then it's easy to just say today, well, I can't do what I used to do in the past because that's not going to get me to where I want to be. But it starts with who you are, and who you choose to be in the world. And then that leads it to be easier to do the things that it takes to be that person. So to me, it starts with having a vision.
Yes, it's a manifestation. Beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on that note, being that person, in order to get there, you have to be that person today. You don't have to exactly be there, but you have to start the process today. So your future is in your today. And being, I had a great mentor that said, be of service to people. And for a long time, I didn't get it. And my service is being more educated so that I can help to educate others, so that others can then be educated. I took on, actually, one of the things I didn't update you on was I'm now in medical school. And taking on a PhD as well. And so that is my contribution. That is my service to other people, to be more educated, to be able to assist my husband so that we can help be of service to our community, to our God, and to others.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's such a thrill to be with both of you tonight, and to just sort of steep ourselves in the wisdom that you bring, and in this positive spirit and motivation that you share with us and with everyone in your world. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This was a pleasure. This was
Awesome.
really.
I eat plants because they help my life. They help me lose weight. They help my skin become clearer. My body has basically shrunk. I sleep better. I have great energy after eating plants. It does send me to the bathroom every day, but that's a good thing because that means I'm losing that waste that I don't need to have in my system. My legs are also great because I actually had venous insufficiency in my bottom part of my legs. Originally, I had 31 veins that need to be cut. After I did this and after I transitioned to this, when I went back to my doctor, he was like, he only got one vein. So I love that. I don't have the high cholesterol anymore because I don't eat any meat products. And I couldn't figure out, like, why did I have high cholesterol? Eggs was my best friend. And that's where my high cholesterol was coming from. So I no longer eat eggs. I started this in 2022. I haven't taken my high cholesterol pills since then. I have great fiber in my system. I have great protein in my system. I drink a lot of water, which also keeps my face looking the way it looks. And so I look younger, actually.
I'm a physician who treats pain, people with injuries and pain, and plants are, believe it or not, a big part of how I treat people who are in pain and have injuries. So I've always been oriented towards treating people preventatively and with treating the root cause of medical issues. So it was very natural for me to, consider food, even though, as physicians, many people don't know this, very few of us receive nutritional training in medical school, even though the research is very, very clear that diet-related diseases is the biggest health problem that we have. It touches so many areas. So it's really become an integral part of what I do. I literally have my New York State prescription pad like right here. And I rarely write for any medications. And I literally write on that prescription pad, fruits, veggies, beans, nuts, whole grains. I literally prescribe on my prescription pad because quite simply, food is medicine. It's the best medicine that we have. I like to say self-care is healthcare because we know that 80% of how we age, feel, and function is due to our everyday habits. So food is huge. There's so many benefits of eating more plants. Eating in a way that nourishes our bodies, our minds, our souls, is really a tremendous opportunity to live better in so many ways. And it's so exciting to help my patients get on that path. We have a local treasure here in New York City called Plant Powered Metro New York, which I see them functioning as a public health service. It is an amazing organization with a passionate, intelligent, dedicated board, medical advisory board, getting the message out there, the evidence-based message that food is medicine that can help prevent and reverse things like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, pain issues, mental health issues. If you're looking to be part of, as well as contribute to a community that cares about elevating the health and well-being of all New Yorkers and beyond, this is the organization for you. And there are so many ways to get involved. You can give of your time, as I do, as an advisor. You can give of your resources. You can give of your special skills and habits. You can give as a tax deduction. There are so many ways to help support this literally life-saving and quality of life-saving mission. And I look forward to meeting all of you who are new to this and coming on board.
Thanks for the videos from both Danielle and Lily Rosenthal, and thank you so much to the Bowmans for their amazing, amazing conversation with Leanna. But right now, we are so pleased to introduce our next guest, a physician who empowers us to transform health by optimizing our gut microbiome with fiber-rich foods and science-backed lifestyle shifts. Dr. Will Bulsiewicz, known to many as Dr. B, is a board-certified gastroenterologist, award-winning researcher, New York Times bestselling author, and I understand another book's just on the way, and founder of 38 Terra, with a Master of Science in Clinical Investigation and dual board certifications in internal medicine and gastroenterology. Dr. B stands at the leading edge of gut health science and lifestyle medicine. We can keep going on, but then the entire interview would be over by the time I finish the introduction. So welcome, sir, and thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my great pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. And I'm really excited about this. I love the work that you all do with Plant Powered Metro New York.
We appreciate that. Now, it's been a number of years since you've been with us. I believe it was Plantathon 2022. You and I had the opportunity to chat. And back then, one of your essential points was that the single greatest predictor of the healthy microbiome was diversity of plants in the diet. Now, what's changed in the science since then, if anything?
Well, I mean, the beautiful thing about science is that it doesn't give us the whiplash effect that you see if you were to follow social media. So there's a pretty consistent message that has emerged. We have multiple studies at this point that are confirming our belief that variety within the diet, specifically different plant-based foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grain, seeds, nuts, and legumes, remains the essential tool. And I think the vision to this is not just understanding the number of different plants, although that is, on some level, that is the opportunity. It's a quite simple approach that can change your life. But I think it's also you start to see how variety within the diet turns into a vehicle to deliver the essential nutrients that our microbes and our body is starving for. Fiber, polyphenols, healthy fats, and even fermented food can be fulfilled if you focus on variety.
So you mentioned fiber. Why is that so central to gut health, and how does it support health outside of the gut?
Yeah, I kind of like this stuff. I'm not sure if people have heard this about me, but so I try to not be so obsessive over fiber. And there are absolutely other things that we could talk about. And my new book has many chapters beyond just discussion of fiber, but I can't shake the fact that 95% of America is deficient in what I see. If you give me one nutrient that we all need, that we all should look at that and say, I can't imagine life without it, it would be fiber. And the reason why is because fiber is fuel for our microbes. And when they are fed, they do their job they're superior at doing their job when they're properly fed. They're just like us. And the fiber that we have ingested, it stops being fiber. And thank you to our microbes who do the hard work of unpacking the fiber, releasing it as short-chain fatty acids, acetate, propionate, and butyrate that spread throughout our body with anti-inflammatory effects. So if you ask me, fiber is the longevity nutrient. Fiber is the essential nutrient that prevents disease more so than any other nutrient that I can identify. And yet here we are, 95% of America is missing this. We really need to work on this.
And I sure wish the conversation switches, because all we hear about is you're missing protein, you're not having enough protein. But the reality is when you're eating all the meat-centric diet, you're not getting any fiber whatsoever, right?
Well, we know what the fiber content of meat is. It's 0. And sadly, our ultra-processed foods have been strategically designed to remove the fiber and replace it with sugar and other stuff that we frankly don't want. And between those two things, that makes up 90% of the calories that we consume. And that's how we end up in this sort of scenario of being fiber deficient, where 90% of our calories are basically animal products and ultra-processed foods. And then the number one vegetable is French fries. And it's not a formula for success.
No, not at all. So what are the most important daily foods for strengthening the gut microbiome, and why?
Well, I mean, once again, I don't even, in some ways, I don't want to be pinned down and say, hey, here's the one thing, because it really comes back to variety. Because really, when you think about like this concept of eat the rainbow, every single color within the rainbow provides something unique. And there are of microbes that live inside of you that with every unique plant food that you consume, they get fed. And the problem is that if we live on a diet that is restrictive, particularly of the plant-based food, that restrictive diet is also restricting access to nutrients for these microbes. So really the story from my perspective, above all else, is to focus on variety, whether that's when you're in the supermarket or in the kitchen or putting together your dinner plate. Now, like, do I have favorite foods? Of course I do. Like, I love an avocado. You know why? Because it tastes great. I enjoy how satiating it is. But it also has healthy fat. It also has a tremendous amount of fiber. And those colors, the beautiful greens and yellow hues, they don't come from nowhere. Those are polyphenols. So, you can sort of tease apart what's going on with each of these. And there's like a signature. Every single plant has a story.
Do you find people get overwhelmed, especially starting this type of eating approach, going in and trying to think about eating too many things and the diversity that have to happen? And how do you walk them through that so they can really go into this program, this lifestyle, in a way that isn't overly overwhelming to them?
When I started on this dietary approach, if you came to me with some strict prescription and said you have to be this, and if you're not that, and then it's not good enough, I could have never done it, to be totally honest with you. So what I needed myself as a skeptic, because that's who I was, what I needed myself was an opportunity to do something that was manageable, that I could follow consistently, and that would make me feel the difference. And I think that's the opportunity that we have. If we can meet people where they are, I'm a big believer in that. We have to go to them. Don't force them to come to us. We should go to them, meet them where they are, present them with actionable tools that they can actually do. And if they follow that and they do it with consistency, they're going to feel the difference. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. So as a quick example for me personally, when I got started on this journey, it wasn't a switch. It was years of work to build up and change my diet. But in the beginning, the first step was adding smoothies. By adding smoothies, I had something that tasted good. It was easy. It wasn't hard for me to make. And I felt the difference. And that's what started all of this.
Yeah, it took me a long time too. We started off having just 2 meals a day. That would be vegan. It was the Vegan Before Six book that came out by Mark Bittman. And then all of a sudden, well, I had some heart issues. I actually had cardiovascular issue. I had a stroke. I had 99% blockage of my widowmaker. And so at that point you go, well, maybe we should tighten that up just a little bit. And I want to just chat for a second about the connection between gut health, the microbiome, and the cardiovascular system. In particular, ischemic stroke and AFib and stuff like that. Is there a direct connection there? And if so, what is it?
I mean, I see it as a quite direct connection. I think it depends on who you ask. Some people might call it a peripheral connection, but the connection is there nonetheless. And I think it's important to understand there's a reason why the food that goes into your mouth has such tremendous impact on these facets that ultimately determine cardiovascular risk. You know, cardiovascular risk is the output, right? It's where we land, but there's an entire story of what's going on the inside that exists before we ever land up with a 99% blockage in our left anterior descending artery or something of this variety. So, and one of the major ways that these microbes is connected to our cardiovascular risk is through a particular nutrient called TMAO. And TMAO is produced through the consumption of carnitine and on some level choline, but actually the data are much stronger on carnitine in the diet, which is what you find in red meat. And the production requires the microbes that ultimately create a transformation from carnitine to TMA and from TMA to ultimately TMAO. And this TMAO has been associated with coronary artery disease, with risk of stroke, with actually risk of atrial fibrillation, with risk of chronic kidney disease. So this is just one of the ways in which our microbes are connected to these risks. It's the easiest one for me to explain. But the other thing that we need to bear in mind is that inflammation is a very, very big part of this story. And inflammation is your immune system. That's not your metabolism. But when your metabolism is out of balance, it can create inflammation. And that inflammation can actually make your diabetes worse. That inflammation can contribute to high blood pressure, contribute to hyperlipidemia, and ultimately contribute to these risk factors for the manifestation of heart disease. And this is the reason why in recent days, cardiologists are now starting to focus on inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein in their quest to try to reduce cardiovascular risk.
When you do go all in, though, how quickly does that inflammation start to subside? Hours, days, weeks? Can people experience it pretty quickly?
Absolutely, people can experience it very quickly. So it's interesting because, don't get me wrong, the opportunity is what you achieve through consistency. So it's your overall dietary pattern. So one good day of eating is not going to balance out everything else, right? That being said, what we know with total clarity, the choices that we make today will start to be reflected in your microbiome by tomorrow. And the other thing that we know with clarity is that your gut barrier, which lines your entire intestines, and I would argue is the largest immune organ in the body, your gut barrier replaces itself every 3 to 5 days. There's no other organ in the body that does something like that. Can you imagine your liver replacing itself every 3 to 5 days?
I hope not. No.
And that gut barrier, this is the opportunity that we have, because through the consumption of fiber-rich foods, through the production of short-chain fatty acids, these are the essential tools to create strong bonds between these cells, to create a strong gut barrier that protects our immune system, because 70% of our immune system lives in our gut. These are the things that I talk about in my new book, but this is also quite simple. Eat fiber-rich foods, you will achieve this.
You mentioned fermented foods earlier, and there's a lot of people who say don't eat them. There are too much salt in them and all that. But what is the benefit directly of fermented foods to the gut microbiome and overall health?
Okay, well, I think it's worthy of unpacking the question because the question of salt is a problem if you are over consuming salt, and the average American absolutely is over consuming salt. So if we were to create advice on a public health basis, we would say, by the way, my apologies, my cat is walking through, he hears me talking. If you were to make recommendations on a public health basis, you would say you have to cut back your salt. But where is the salt coming from? It's not coming from the plants in your diet. It's not coming even from the salt that you sprinkle on your food to make it taste good. It's coming from ultra-processed foods. 70% of the salt in the American diet is coming from ultra-processed foods because ultra-processed foods are 60% of our calories. So if we were to approach this by cutting back on our ultra-processed foods, you normalize your salt. And I think that it's very important for people to understand salt by itself should not be vilified. It is an essential nutrient. You would die if you didn't have salt in your diet, right? But if we normalize the salt, there's not an issue at all. If you get yourself into the range, the goal should be 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. If you're within that range, you can absolutely consume small portion sizes of fermented foods and you're not going to have a problem. So I think that's the key. Now, what is the opportunity real quick? The opportunity with fermented food is that these transformed foods, these living foods, they actually add to your microbiome. So there's actually research out of Stanford from some of my friends that showed that in 8 weeks of adding fermented food to their plate, they could increase the diversity within the gut microbiome. And guess what happens to inflammation? When they increased the diversity of the microbiome, the inflammation shrunk and was reduced. And this is the connection that we see. If you can enhance the health of the gut, you will reduce inflammation, and fermented foods are one of the powerful tools that we can accomplish that.
I know we can talk about diet all night long, but what other lifestyle habits also have an impact on reducing inflammation and just creating a better, more healthy microbiome?
If our gut microbes, so my thesis in my book is that our gut microbes and our immune system are inseparable. And I have not found evidence to prove otherwise. If someone finds evidence in a study, I would love to see it. And so if they are truly inseparable, then what that means is the things that we can do to lift up the microbes and make them healthier will have a ripple effect and influence our immune system in a beneficial way. That means reducing inflammation. So, and everything that we do, every facet of our life is imprinted on these microbes. They tell a story. Our life story is basically in there. And so whether it be, the last speakers were talking about physical activity, staying active. There's benefits to walking. There's benefits to running. There's benefits to lifting weights. There's benefits to yoga, and they're not all the same, but they all will impact your microbiome. In my new book, I have an entire chapter devoted to circadian rhythm. One of the things that's missing in the modern world, and it's hard to do when it's freezing cold outside, but one of the things that's missing in the modern world is that we don't go outside anymore. So you don't get morning light exposure. If we lived in the wild, you would get sunlight every single day. You would not be able to avoid that, but we are able to avoid that with our modern life. And so, but if we get outside, then we can restore the natural rhythms that our body really is craving. So these are just a few of the examples: sleep, morning light, regular meal times, consistency. Those are all opportunities for healing.
I've heard you mention before the importance of that morning light. You take a morning walk every day. That really has a huge impact, though, on really getting connected with the circadian rhythm on a daily basis.
Yeah, there's an entire scientific explanation that we could dig into, and it would take me a couple minutes to explain. But in short, if you start doing this, I would challenge the viewers of Plant Powered Metro New York who are here with us today. I would challenge you to give this a try for a week. Right. And you don't have to do it when it's freezing cold and 10 degrees outside. But if you start doing this, I promise you, you're going to feel the difference. You are going to have more energy during the day. You're going to have more focus. You're going to be able to do more endurance. And then about 14 hours after you take your morning walk, you're going to sleep like a baby because it also sets you up for phenomenal sleep. So there's something to this, getting into that rhythm.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. I see over your left shoulder, there's that new book. I think we might even have something on the screen. So is all this going to be in there? And what can we expect that's different from Plant Powered Plus, which comes out, what, mid-January?
Yeah, so Plant Powered Plus comes out in January. I spent 3 years writing this book and very proud of it. In fact, there's over 1,400 scientific references. And so, and yes, of course, I'm going to talk about fiber, but that's not the entire emphasis of the book. There's so much more that I want to talk about, because what we're doing here, in my mind, fiber fueled was an introduction to the gut microbiome. Hey, here's this exciting science. Let me pull back the curtain. I want to show it to you. I want to make it accessible, and we can do this. But now what I'm saying is, hey, inflammation, this is the threat of our time. I mean, 3 out of 5 deaths are from inflammatory diseases. 3 out of 5, 60% of us. This is what is going to cause trouble for us. And that doesn't even take into account the allergies, the autoimmune issues, and all the other inflammatory issues. And we can heal. We can heal by properly addressing the gut. And so there's a food-based approach. I'm telling you exactly what to eat, of course, powered by plants. But there's also an entire conversation about circadian rhythm. And to the last speakers, there's an important conversation that we need to have about connection, human connection, spiritual connection. These are pieces that are missing. Before the pandemic, 50% of Americans reported that they were feeling lonely. Well, what you don't hear, you hear how bad it is, our diet. What you don't hear is that loneliness is the equivalent of smoking cigarettes on a daily basis. So the healing comes in many forms. And for some people, it's pulling those levers of adding in fiber and polyphenols and healthy fats. But for other people, it's about getting reconnected with those that they love or finding their purpose.
I'm just blown away by that 60% of the diseases caused by inflammation. That is a staggering number. I don't think people have that idea that it really can be that damaging to the body. Got 2 more questions for you. So I know we have to go, and we really appreciate your time. But there are people out there who struggle. They struggle with bloating. They struggle with food sensitivities. How can they embrace a fiber-rich diet, and what kind of modifications do you suggest? And I'm sure you can unpack this in hours, but let's do the quick notes on this.
Yeah, the Cliff Notes version is that, number one, your gut is a muscle. It can be trained. It can be made stronger. None of us would accept that we're not capable of walking. We would figure out a way to make it happen. The same can be true with your diet. The way that you approach it is the same way that you would do it in the gym. You start low and you go slow and you build up over time.
Makes sense to me. Last question. We've asked you throughout the entire Plantathon, and you're the cleanup hitter, so you get to knock it out of the park. Where do you see great opportunity in our movement for people to make an impact?
I mean, I think it starts so small, because I think that it's the people that we have in our lives already that we can impact, and you will see the effect because they're in your sphere of influence. They're in your world. So yeah, I think sometimes we make it sound like the only way to have influence is to get on social media and try to communicate to, thousands or more people. But no, I in fact think that we just need to return to the basics, which are exemplifying, like taking action ourselves, being like stepping up and showing others through our own action what's possible, what this lifestyle looks like, and how we're thriving in that. And you will inspire people with that alone. And then when you see the opportunity to have a conversation about what's working for you, that's what you do. And I think people will be inspired by that.
We know that you're an inspiration to this community. So Dr. B, thank you for your time today. I wish we had longer, but so many great nuggets for people to take away. Enjoy. Happy holidays, and hopefully you'll come back again soon.
Of course. Happy holidays. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, what's up? I'm LA from Black Girls Eat, and I'm a plant-based advocate from the BX, the Boogie Down. That's right, that's me all day. I became a plant-based advocate a few years ago after my own health scare. I was talking to my doctor about inflammation and the pain it was causing in my body, and somehow we started talking about foods. And that led me all the way down the rabbit hole into whole foods, plant-based nutrition. When I first learned about plant-based nutrition, I was very nervous. I said, oh my gosh, what am I gonna eat? Just salads? But that's not true. What actually happened to me is that plant-based nutrition expanded my food vocabulary. I mean, let's be honest. There are about 1,000 vegetables available to us in this world, and most of us are eating the same 5. I'm excited about the work that Plant Powered Metro New York is doing because it's a true community, a real community of people who want nothing more than to ensure that New Yorkers can eat well, feel well, and live well. And that is in perfect alignment with the mission and vision of Black Girls Eat. So, come on, get out there, let's do something different. Pick a new veggie, pick a new grain, pick a new fruit. If you need some advice, find me at Black Girls Eat or visit me at the Black Girls Eat website and continue to follow and connect with everything Plant Powered Metro New York.
You know, it's people like Dr. B and the Bowmans and LA who make me smile because we are a community and we have so many amazing voices in this world to bring forward every day, Jim.
Indeed. It was amazing to hear both of them tonight. And I know you have a special guest you want to talk to right now.
That's right. One of my friends. I have so many friends from this world. I want to welcome Livia Fu, who is a newer board member of Plant Powered Metro New York and somebody who brings her warmth and her wisdom into all conversations while also having like real cred. She's worked in strategy and human resources and finance at nonprofit startups and Fortune 100 companies. But really, she's just an awesome human being who I'm really glad to introduce you to. Welcome, Livia.
Oh, hi, Leanna. I am so thrilled to be here with all of you. Thank you for such a kind introduction. I hope everyone's been enjoying day 8 of the Plantathon. And just to share a little bit why I'm here. I'm a newer board member as part of Plant Powered Metro New York. And I think I've heard this echoed this evening, the community that's here. That's one of the big draws for me. Sometimes going down this path may be lonely. It's very nice to know that there's a community. And when I think about the impact of the work that the group touches, I'm so touched by that. And so knowing that there's education and support through programs like the Jumpstart program and partnerships with so many different organizations. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you've had a full day or a full week, depending on how long you've been part of Plantathon. But I just also wanted to share personally for me, I'm a firm believer of food being healing. I heard Dr. V talk about inflammation and how that can be reduced and just knowing that we have the power to change that. So lately, I've been spending a lot of time with my parents, and my dad was diagnosed with early stage kidney disease, and I can truly testament that food healing him is real. It happened. He moved stages and it's not as severe anymore. So a huge credit to my mom and her curiosity in believing in food. So I just wanted to share a personal antidote that's so close to my heart. I also realize it is the holiday season. We just finished Thanksgiving. I know there's so many causes out there that we all are connected to in different ways. I just want to ask that if you have the capacity to give what you can, I noticed there's a banner under me right now, but if you could give whatever is comfortable to you, knowing that you can have an impact also as part of this community, and what you donate will touch someone else's life also, and we can continue to do all the work we do for each other. So thank you for having me as part of this evening, and I'll turn it back over to Leanna.
Thank you, Olivia. It's so true. And thank you for sharing about your family as well. It's so wonderful when we learn and can share with others and can see how transformative even those smaller steps can be with chronic disease in all its forms. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Happy holidays to everyone. Take
That's
care.
right. Thanks, Livia. And you know what? This brings us to our final Plantathon giveaway. So if you have made a donation to Plant Powered Metro since the beginning of November, or if you registered for Plantathon, then you have been entered to win one of many prizes. And tonight we are giving away 3. We have an awesome bundle of goodies that we've assembled for you from Plant Powered Metro New York. And I'm so pleased to share that our winner is Jill Marcus from Long Island. Woohoo! We next have a set of 6 spice jars from Burlap and Barrel. And our winner is Joanne Katz from New York City. Congrats, Joanne. And the winner of the Vitamix High Speed Blender is, drumroll please, Susanna Dickman from Indiana. That's right, folks. We've got folks joining us from Indiana, from California, from right in the Bronx. We know, we see you, LA, and all of these amazing communities all around the country. Thank you for being here. Congrats to our winners. Our team will get in touch with you in the next few days to claim your prizes. I want to give one last big shout out to all of our giveaway sponsors. We've had so many awesome things to offer up as prizes throughout the week of Plantathon, and another round of thanks to our Plantathon sponsors, California Balsamic and Farm to People. And I'm really thrilled to share that so far we have raised more than $36,000, well on our way to our goal of raising $50,000 before the end of the year. So to all who have donated, thank you. And to those who still may, as Livia said, give today, give generously, give what you can. And if you can't give today, give next month. We are here. We are making mountains move together with your support. So, Jim, here we
It's
are.
over. It's almost, 8 days, including virtual Leanna and virtual Jim on a couple of days, an incredible Spanish night with IFRA, Dr. B, the Bowmans. I'm going to ask you a question. What was your favorite part? What was the favorite thing that you got from these 8 days? Other than you're getting sleep tonight because you haven't got sleep.
That's right. That's right. You know what I love is that it's actually what people don't see that I love the most, which is how our team we do a lot of work, but we have so much fun doing this, bringing together all of these stories, the testimonials that we've brought forward from the community, figuring out who to bring on as speakers each year. It's just like so much. It's a dance, but it's also tremendously fun. And I feel like for me, I'm just taking away every day that there are countless things we can learn. I am a lifelong learner. I love learning. That's why we have this educational organization. I'm so glad that you're a part of it, Jim. What about you?
It's so hard to pick that out. And I know I was setting myself up to answer the question as well. But what I want to do more than anything else is say that what I appreciate are a number of people, and I know I'm not going to get them all right, from Hannah and Grace and Karina, who really are the glue. They held it all together. They allowed us to do the fun stuff out here, but hats off to all of you in making this happen. So what I learned is the amazing team. And it wasn't a new piece of information, but it's always reinforced every time we do something like this, that this is just an incredible team to be part of. And by the way, I love Dr. B. I mean, that was just amazing. So what more can you say about that? And I think it's about time for us to shut up and get out of here, right? So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have these on demand. Please share them with people because, and matter of fact, please share the ones from a couple of years ago. Watch Dr. B from 2022 and see what he had to say, because you know what? The research and the information is just always consistent. And if it changes, we'll be at the top of it. So if you haven't subscribed, do so. You get reminders. On behalf of Leanna, I'm Jim Spellos. We are Plant Powered Metro New York, and it's been an honor to be here for the past 8 days. So good night, everybody, and happy holidays.